Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. So you're seeing a lot of me today. Sorry about that. But I did want to continue on with the Back to the Basics series, which is what I put out first thing when I started loading this afternoon. I kind of want to keep on with that and make sure that I continue to stay with that. I'm going to be working on a modifiers episode this week, so I just wanted to catch you guys up on what's been going on and what to look forward to this week. So let's get to it. So, but first I want to do the countdown days. So, if you've been following my channel, I have been counting down the days till the AHIMA 2019 conference that is being held in beautiful Chicago, Illinois this year, home of the American Health Information Management Association. The pre-conference starts on September 14th, and that is 26 days from today. And the welcoming ceremony, which is the next day on that Sunday, which is September 15th, is 27 days from today. So I am beyond excited, and I've been saying this, and I've been driving you guys crazy, I know, because I have been counting down since it was like 100 and something days. So very excited. I have been, just making sure that everything's in line for my trip next month, and so everything is cool and it's working out. So very excited, and I will be filming live when I'm over there, so that way I can make sure that you guys share in the experience with me, and so that way you guys can see, if you've never been to a conference, all the craziness and the pandemonium and all the fun stuff that happens at conference time. So just a few things to talk about this afternoon. So I ordered all my business cards like last week, so they should be here like Friday or Saturday, and it's just like cards that have my email address and my mailing address and like my Instagram on there. So very excited about that. They look really nice because I ordered them like black with gold lettering. Oh, so pretty, I can't wait. So I'm very excited, and I ordered a mouse pad with it too. So I feel very official now. But, it's kind of the nerdy thing in me. But I'm excited because it says like Medical Coding with Blue. So I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to see how it comes out. Hopefully it's everything that I think it is. So anyway, that was that. One thing I wanted to talk about, I've been getting a lot of emails over the weekend. And these are from new people that are just starting out in the field, or some had already been in the field, but they're trying to get better, with their clinics. My advice to you is this: don't take shortcuts when you're trying to learn something. Okay, if you're looking for like cheat sheets and things like that, that's okay. But at the same time, don't skip over the part where you're learning why you need a cheat sheet. You know what I mean? And a cheat sheet could be anything that you make up. It could be just a list of your common codes, or something to familiarize yourself to remember that this code is applied at this time. It could be anything, but don't skip over why why you need to learn this stuff. Everything takes time. I didn't know everything in the beginning. I was just as confused in the beginning. But these things take time. I've been in the field for over a decade, and with time comes wisdom, and so there are still things that I'm learning even still today. So I'm okay with that. But if you're trying to take in a lot of information, you're going to overwhelm yourself too. So just take things one step at a time, and sort of like take a step back and take a survey of like where you are, like what is the most pressing thing that you need to learn first, and start there. Okay, if you're having an issue with ENMs, now I am going to do an ENM video, but it's going to take me a minute, okay, because I want to make sure that I present it correctly, because I think a lot of times how you're getting taught plays a lot into it too, because it's either going to make you want to learn more, or it's going to just burn you out. So I want to make sure that when I'm sharing anything, and again, None of my exercises are official. None of my advice is official. This is just me as a veteran medical coder that I've been in the field for over 10 years. I started my channel because I saw that there was a need uh, for somebody to speak up and say, hey, I'm a medical coder and this is what I know. A lot of times you'll see coders that they don't want to speak up, they don't want to ask questions because they don't want to feel like they don't know what they're doing. And that's the wrong attitude to have. Like, it's okay to ask questions. Now, if you're asking the same question over and over again, right? Because you keep forgetting and you're not taking notes, that's part of the problem. You have to take notes. I take a ton of notes. I have notes of like folders and notes, you know what I mean? Like, I have so many notes because when you write things down, it helps to commit things to memory. And this goes back to not skipping over the necessary points of trying to learn something. If you're not writing stuff down, it's not going to commit to memory. And so to me, it's helpful. Some people don't like to write stuff down. They just like to kind of play with their phone and do the flashcards that are on their phone. And that's okay if that works for you. But if you're having trouble recalling, maybe consider writing things down and see if that will help you. Even if you are a coder and you've been in the field for a little while and you're still trying to learn everything, because it is a lot to learn, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. It is a lot to learn. Part of what we do is that desire to want to study as well, because we have to in order to learn things, and things are always getting updated. You know, that's another thing too. You're constantly going to have to learn things because every year the codes get updated. Either some get deleted, the guidelines get updated. There's a myriad of things that happen every single year. So you have to be willing to just go with it. You know, that's something that I always say. If you're not sure, it's okay. Just go with it. And eventually, if you stick with it, it'll start to make more sense, okay? And if it doesn't, you know, ask questions. And if you're asking a question and it's getting the same response and you still don't understand, another thing to think of is, okay, if I'm phrasing this question this way and it's getting the same response and I still don't understand, let me ask it a different way. Because maybe the way that you're asking a question is getting you the same answer. So if you change the way you're formulating the question, that may help, okay? So that's just a bit of advice that I have on that, because sometimes, like, people kind of get stuck in that and then they start to overthink. And I've been guilty of this. I have been guilty of overthinking things too. And I will call my only friend that I ask coding questions to, and I'll tell her, girl, I need you to push me off the fence on this one because I'm stuck. And it's usually after I've like kind of spun my wheels and started to think, and you know, then I start overthinking instead of just going with my initial gut reaction, which is the thing that is always usually right on. And my friend will tell me, you didn't go with your gut reaction, did you? I'm like, no, I didn't, because I started thinking of this and I started thinking of that, and she's really good at just sort of pushing me off the fence and being like, okay, did you look at it this way? And I'm like, no, I didn't. And so then, you know, we go back and then we sort of look at it and then we figure the answer out together. So it helps to have somebody that you trust, that you ask questions to. But if you're not getting that support, look for other avenues. And for those that have emailed me and said that they're trying to find out more, congratulations. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're doing that, because you're taking control of not knowing what, you know, you're taking control of trying to find out more, and that's awesome. That's what I meant to say. Of not whatever, but it's you're taking control of that, and that's a good thing, you know, because that tells me that you are trying to harness that and you're trying to make sure that you get a handle on you know, what is confusing you. So that's really good, and I hope to get more emails like that. That's really good. Like I said, I will be working on an E&M video. That is one of my top requests, is to do an E&M video. The thing about E&Ms is because it's so involved, it may have to be broken down into a series as well. So, and this is just going to like be a series, and then, you know, maybe like the culmination is working out exercises. So, again, that's something I have to sit and look and try to make sure that I present it in a way that is clear. Because when I do classes now, like, usually I'll know majority of the people in the room. Rarely will I not know the people. When I did the PA class last week, I didn't know majority of them. I only knew 2 ladies that were in there. So I don't. It's hard to explain it, but it's like, I guess because it's my work environment and I feel comfortable in my work environment. I know, like, these are the people that I'm going to be talking to. And I did sort of have exposure to them before because they had done their rounds through the orthopedic clinic and the podiatry clinic. So I knew them that way, in that setting. Maybe not face to face, but I knew their documentation techniques. So, you know, because they get reviewed and things like that. So that was what I had saw was what they were getting reviewed on. So I knew them that way. Maybe that's what it was. So yeah. But, you know, I didn't really have a hard time. But this is like, I'm talking to you guys, you know, and I've gotten, you know, feedback from, you know, a good amount of you. So, but again, I need to make sure that I present things in a way that helps everyone to understand. And I want to make sure that I get that part right, you know, because it's very important to me. Because like I said, I think sometimes when people are getting taught, and if they're not getting taught in a particular way that helps them to learn, it leads to more frustration. And I don't want to be the reason that somebody gets frustrated, you know. So, but yes, if you give me time, I'm going to be working on that one. Let's see. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about was I finished the slides for my October class for the PAs again. It was talking about modifiers and global days. So I'm very excited about that. I will be submitting that to my boss who returns tomorrow. So hopefully I can get the stamp of approval from her, because September is going to go really quick. I'm going to be gone like a week and a couple of days in September. So, but this is going to be the most I've been gone in one sitting, you know, in a while. So I want to make sure that all of my ducks are in a row and that I have nothing left on my table, you know, of things to do. So I don't like doing things at the last minute. I hate rushing. That is like my hugest pet peeve, is rushing. I can't stand rushing. I like to make sure that everything is done, or that it is going to be done by the time, you know, I need it to be ready, you know. So hopefully, let's hope there's no issues with these, because I was very straightforward in these slides. There was nothing else that I was adding. It was very straightforward information, so hopefully she likes it and she's happy with it and she'll just sign off on it. And then I'm going to be working on the 2 audits that I have left to do, the deep dive audits. And if you followed my channel, I've talked about this before. Part of my evaluation is doing a deep dive on 3 of my providers. I have to review some of their documentation and see where they can improve, or what are the common mistakes that they're making and things like that. So doing those is very labor intensive, because there's a lot of back and forth with my boss, because she has to sign off on it before I present it to them. And so a lot of times, if there's a disagreement between me and her, it just takes longer to go back and forth. So the first one that I picked was one that he, I don't know how to describe it. So he does really good, and then I feel like I can let him coast for a little bit, and I can work on other providers, and then I can just circle back to his stuff, and he's okay. And then other times it's just like I leave him And then I go and work on other providers, and I come back to his documentation, and it's just all over the place. Like, I have to send him query after query after query after query. And it's like, I shouldn't have to be sending you this many queries. This is not normal. This is not normal for you. What are you doing, And so he says, well, I forget and things like that. And I'm like, okay, we need to not forget, because again, I have 20 providers that I have to take care of. And 20 providers over the course of all of this time, a lot of people would get overwhelmed with that. I don't, because I make it my business to know and understand each one of them and what they're doing. So it helps to make quickly through their documentation. I can look at their documentation, and I can, get the things that I need to get out of it and correct whatever needs to be corrected as far as like the diagnosis or the procedure code selection, or add, if they have other things that were not added on there, I can add them based on the documentation. So when I have a provider that is leaving stuff off and not remembering to do things, it gets very frustrating, because it's just like, okay, we all need to work together. I have 20 other people that I got to take care of on top of you, and I need you to help me out, And so it's not like him, but for some reason it's just like, I just can't seem to get him to get back on track. And so I'm trying to get him back on track. And the first one that I did, the first deep dive that I did was with him. And if I would have known how labor intensive it was, or how long it was going to take, because it took me almost 2 months to get that back from my boss, because it was a lot of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it was just like, oh my gosh, and we don't have a CDI person at our facility, and I am okay with that. Like I've said before, I don't like a middleman being involved with my providers. If they're going to hear something, they're going to hear it from me. They need to learn to deal with me. I don't want them feeling like, how that thing with kids is, and I'm not a parent, but the thing with kids, when they don't like what mama says, so they're going to go ask daddy. And then if they said, daddy don't, they don't get the answer that they get from daddy, they're going to go back to mama and ask. It's like that. It's a very country thing to say, right? So I don't like them to have that. I don't want them to have that option. They deal with me. That is, I am the end of the line right here. Because I've seen this happen to a lot of other coders, where sometimes the provider doesn't like what they say, so they go to somebody else and they ask them, and they get all kinds of different answers, and all of a sudden it's just anarchy. They're not doing things properly, or they're not documenting like they should, and so that becomes a problem. So this is why I insist that whatever they ask, they come to me and they ask me. If they're going to change something, or if they're going to do something else, or if they're doing a new procedure, they need to stop and let me know, what are you doing, so that way we can talk about what you need to have documented in order to make sure that everything is clear. What are you saying? Those are the things that I look at. And to be a medical coder where I am, I have to wear many hats, and that's one of them, the CDI part of it all, even though it's not an official title for me. But it is what I do. There's not a lot of people that are as detailed, sometimes, as much as I am where I work, because some of them just, work with what they've got, and, if that's what they do, I mean, that's what they do. To me, I'm very detailed, and I want to make sure that my providers are documenting like they're supposed to. So, I do talk to them. I do try to educate them as much as I can. I give them coding tip of the week. And it's just something random. Or if I'm seeing something, or if there's a coding clinic that comes out, I talk about it, something that affects their clinic. Those are the things that I talk about with them. You have to be proactive. And that is one thing that I insist on, is being proactive with my providers. Because at the end of the day, everything that they document and what you're able to capture, and if you're able to see things because you're being detailed and you're making sure that everything is there, as far as when you select the codes, it's just better for the provider, it's better for the patient, it's better for the facility. It's just better all around. So again, being detailed is extremely important. But yes, I'm going to be working on some more of those episodes, like modifiers and things like that, and back to the basics. So I hope you all will enjoy those. Let me know if you have any questions for Q&A Tuesday. There's still time to submit questions for Q&A Tuesday, so I hope to get some more questions from you guys. I've got a good list going, so there's still time. I will be leaving my email address down in the description box below, so if you want to send them there, you can. If you want to comment below, you can. All right, so if you are a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider or a nurse, I invite you to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. All right, I will see y'all in the next episode. Bye!